Before we start, this video contains personal accounts of psychiatric hospitalizations, psychosis, homelessness, drug addiction, suicidal ideations, and child separation. If you are in crisis right now, please contact 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling or texting 988. This is my lived experience and not a substitute for professional medical advice. 30 times. I was hospitalized 30 times before one person made one decision that made a huge difference for the rest of my life so far. This is the story of what going through the mental health system is like from the inside. I was 25 years old the first time they admitted me. I was addicted to meth and K2. I was cold. I was sleeping outside. My family had abandoned me and the state had taken my kids. I was homeless and wet and starving. I thought I was a half an angel, a Nephilim they called it, and I was very suicidal. I was an undiagnosed autistic and in a world that had no frame for me whatsoever, and I was completely alone. And that was the person that walked into the psychiatric hospital the first time, the person they had to figure out, but they didn't. Before we go any further, here's what I want you to understand. Every time I was discharged, I was given a new diagnosis. I was given depression, bipolar, BPD, ODD, and every time they were wrong. I was given a new treatment plan. I was given the wrong medications. And I was given no real answers. And every time that I went out, eventually I came back in. I can't tell you what happened between maybe number 8 and number 16 because they all blur together. It's pretty much what happens over 30 stays in a mental hospital, going through the things you're going through, like detox and putting new medications on and everything. But it does feel like one interrupted stay with little periods of brief outside time or little cycles of things that happen over and over again. What I can tell you is what it felt like in general. The intake process, it's the same questions, it's the same clipboards, the same fluorescent lights. It's the same being put on medications that didn't work for me. I mean, that was my experience. It made things worse a lot of times, and not being believed when I had said so. Being told the symptoms were because of drug use. I mean, they weren't completely wrong, but they weren't completely right either. They never kept looking and asking me any questions. They just treated the surface and didn't look what was underneath. I learned to say what it took to get discharged. Everybody does around there. You learn the language. You learn what stable looks like, even when you're not stable. And when you get asked the questions, you just kind of push them to say you'll be all right to leave, and they just let you go as long as you agree to take this new medicine. And then the cycle starts all over again. 4 different diagnoses over 11 years: depression, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, and oppositional defiant disorder. 4 different treatment plans built on the wrong foundation. Every medication, every therapy, every hospital stay was designed to treat something I didn't even have, while what I had was laying underlined, untreated the whole time for over a decade. Mood stabilizers, Xanax, medications designed for something I didn't even have yet. And when they didn't work like they were supposed to, it was never the wrong diagnosis or anything. It was always I wasn't complying, or I wasn't trying hard enough, or that my drug addiction was always the choice, and I was just learning on these new drugs. And of course, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the drugs weren't the problem. It was, of course, but there was nobody that understood at the time. And what I want you to understand at the time is I was self-medicating. I was trying to manage symptoms that nobody knew how to help me with, and nobody had seen or looked at yet. I was just self-medicating, really. And nobody had identified anything wrong with me like that yet. They just thought I had depression and drug addiction. I was doing my best to cope with these things, this autism and this new schizoaffective disorder, and all this. And everybody tries to do that. But I want to make it clear I'm not a doctor, okay? And what worked for me may not work for you. What always works is working with a qualified treatment team over time and not giving up. All right. Before making any changes to your medications or your care plan, at least talk to your professionals and talk to them. Don't make rash decisions. Okay. Stay number 30, a different hospital, right? And one person who asked a different question. Not something about my symptoms for once, but something far more practical. All right. The conversation is the reason why I'm sitting here today talking to you. Now we're going to go to when I was 36 years old. I ended up in a hospital I hadn't been to yet before, and I got to talk to a doctor there that I'd never seen before or heard of. And it wasn't a dramatic moment, no. Not with the same breakthrough revelation that you would hope. She just asked me a simple, practical question. Right? Just the simplest question that most people didn't ask me yet before in the 29 states before. She asked if I had trouble remembering taking my medicine daily. And I said, yeah, like only when somebody reminds me or like because I don't panic or anything. I don't take anything like that. My mental health antipsychotics, I just forget to take daily or I forget if I did take it sometimes. And she said, would you like to try a long acting injectable? And I said, how often would I have to get it? And she said, just once a month to start. And if you like to, you can get it longer. And she gave me some pills for the first couple days. And after that, I got my first shot. All right. That was the moment. Not a dramatic diagnosis, not someone finally seeing me for who I was. Just one practical decision by one person who was just paying attention. But something happened after that shot. My thought process changed completely. I started thinking all about all the things in a different order, a different process. My engine fired in a different order again, the order that it used to before things happened. And I started arriving to healthier conclusions. Not because I was forcing myself to, but it just because my brain was finally getting what it was actually needing. And it was weird, you know? And and that's when the doctor started looking at me more seriously, my doctor, not the emergency room ones, and started looking into schizoaffective disorder. 11 years, 30 hospitalizations, and it started with one person asking if I could remember to take my meds every day. That's all it took, just remembering if I could take my meds, and everything started finding out when they started asking about what happens to me daily instead of what I'm going through with my symptoms. How many people are in that loop right now? How many people are in there their fifth, their 10th, their 15th time, still stuck in this crazy loop loss? I often think about that. I'm still on the shot today. I still have schizoaffective disorder. That doesn't go away. I'm also being evaluated for autism. They call it suspected autism syndrome disorder now. Honestly, it's still done a big change in my life. Understanding the piece of myself that's reframed my whole life, you know, like growing up in the 90s, undiagnosed, the way certain things were much harder than they should have been. But there was a difference now. I make candles. I loom knit little hats and beanies. I play guitar and sing. I grow plants. Did you see right behind me? They're sleeping. I'm building a small business, and I'm part of creating content on a couple channels. I hold a part-time job, which I love, and people love me. I do service there, and I'm a cashier. And I have a treatment team that I works with me every week, and they always take care of me. And I have a plan now, and I'm not lost. If I could go back to that 25-year-old me, the homeless, starving, cold, believed he was a half angel, I wouldn't walk up and give him a speech. I'd sit down next to him and I'd wait. I'd let him ask the questions and tell me every little story he had and every thought he had. And when he did ask those questions, I'd tell him, there's a way back. It's a hard journey, but in the end, you have learned so much. And in the middle of the worst moments, you will have saved hundreds of people. And by the time you're done with your life, you will have helped thousands find the help that they so desperately needed. And I know this because I've already started. If any part of this story sounds like it's yours, the wrong diagnosis, maybe, the revolving door, the feeling like nobody actually is looking at you or listening, um, maybe I just really want you to know this channel's for you. That's why I'm doing this. And I want you to know that I see you. And if you want to hear more content about, what I went through and how I'm dealing with this, just hit subscribe. But if you want to know what I went through on my journey, leave a comment or let me know where you're at in your journey. I read every single one of those, every one of them. And if you're really needing to seek help and nobody's around, you can call 988. I've done it many times. It's carrying people there. And a lot of people would still be here today, maybe, if they did. Thank you. All right, just wanted you to know this is the real information. All right, if someone you know or you are in crisis, you need to call or text 988. That is the suicide crisis lifeline. All right. Now, if you want to text, you can call the crisis text line or text home HOME to 741-741, and just know you're not alone.